All right, folks, it's a Sunday session. God bless all of you, July 23rd, 2023. And we're going to be talking about what's next for XRP. Quick announcement, we are going to be hosting a Twitter space tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And the title is going to be What's Next for XRP. So a little primer, a little hype to get everyone ready for tonight's episode on the Twitter space platform. Really looking forward to it. We're going to be bringing everybody up so we can engage and have a fun conversation while we speculate and debate what is next for XRP. Now we got a full update coming your guys' way. Let's take a look from the Kobesi letter. Key events this week. We have consumer confidence data on Tuesday, new home sales Wednesday, Fed interest rate decision on Wednesday. That's going to be a massive decision right there. Q2 2023 GDP data, PCE inflation on Friday, and about 20% of the S&P 500 companies report earnings. An action-packed week ahead for sure. Now, to get us some context perspective on where XRP is going in relation to where the dollar has been going over the last 200 years, Kobesi Letter shares this chart with us. $1 from the year 1800 is worth just 4 cents today. That is where your inflation takes you to. Investing is the only way to sustain wealth over the long run is how he follows that up. And when we look here at this chart, you got stocks, bonds, bills, basically T-bills, gold, and the US dollar. Now you can see gold has held up, not as well as bills or bonds or stocks, but gold has held its own, has preserved your wealth, and that's why we consider gold and silver to be those defensive measures that are a crucial part of our investment strategy, not financial advice. But the bills and the bonds have held up, and then the stock market has done the best, the equities, over that period of time. But when we look at what just happened last year for the bond market, Jason Cousins, founder of GlintPay, says the risk-free delusion of the $133 trillion bond market is collapsing. 2022 was the worst year in U.S. history for treasuries. And that 60-40 portfolio, it was about the third worst year ever for that traditional 60-40 portfolio where 60% is in equities or stocks and about 40% of that portfolio would be in bonds. So it was the third worst year ever. And then it was the worst year ever for the treasuries, which is, what makes up 40% of that average portfolio that Wall Street has been shilling you, your parents, your grandparents. And the situation will continue to get worse because we see this. China and Hong Kong continue to deleverage U.S. bond positions. Now, meanwhile, the stocks are up because we have 7 tech stocks that are holding up the S&P 500. And we have the forever pumpers that want the participation trophy economy to continue on forever and don't want to face the fact that the dollar is going to continue to be devalued, that we are going to have a serious problem that we have to address at some point. We can't just keep kicking the can down the road, handing out participation trophies in the form of more bailouts, more liquidity to keep the system propped up. They're begging for the Fed to cut interest rates. They want the Fed to pivot so bad because they can't make their deals work at these higher interest rates. They can't make their business run at these higher interest rates. And what you're seeing is the credit. You have a currency, debt, and liquidity crisis all making its way here present for everyone to acknowledge. Even the mainstream media is having a difficult time dismissing what is taking place. And now we continue on here and we see this in regards to XRP, what happens next. I provided those last few tweets to give you context on what your other options are. You got to ask the question, compared to what? Where's XRP going to go? What's next for XRP compared to what? Compared to gold and compared to our silver, compared to the US dollar. And I would assume that many of us would want to ask compared to the US dollar because that's mostly what we're trading in, right? Using Tether, maybe using stablecoin like USDC, but we're pairing up with the dollar in most aspects, most regards. For those of you in other countries, you see, during the bull run of 2017, 2018, there was a big discrepancy and a big arbitrage opportunity because in some of these other countries, the currency was getting so devalued that you actually saw Bitcoin, I think, trading at like 50, 60,000 back in the 2017 bull run, when in US dollars, it was actually up to 20,000. But in other currencies, it had gotten so jacked up and the pairs and the liquidity were getting squeezed so much that you saw a huge discrepancy in those prices. But compared to the US dollar, compared to the potential to invest your XRP in Bitcoin and altcoins and meme coins and NFTs, just sitting on cash, this is what we're asking. What's next for XRP? And compared to the alternatives, when you look at what has happened to the dollar over the last 2 centuries, it's been devalued over 90%. By some measures, folks say 99%. The dollar has also been revalued and reset a couple times as well, right? Back during the original Bretton Woods agreement in the 40s, after World War II, then once again in 71 when Nixon took us off the gold standard, and then we created the petrodollar. So the dollar has been reborn a couple times in the last 200 years, but that trend has continued of dollar devaluation. Against gold, you're winning. With stocks, you won the most. With T-bills and bonds, you were winning actually better than gold as well. But we see that last year we had the worst year ever for bonds. So when we're looking to invest our money, when we're looking at the options available, for me, I look at XRP as a new world reserve digital currency. Let me repeat, that's a new world, a new financial system is being born. But it's going to be a world reserve digital currency that people are going to keep on their balance sheet as a store of value. But then they're also going to have the additional utility that comes with XRP. If they if they see fit, they can start to use their XRP for liquidity, for NFTs, metaverse, whatever games you want to play with your XRP. I know it's going to take a lot for me to give up my XRP, but with that being said, I wanted to provide that context as we look at this situation, what's coming up next for XRP. Now, we start off here, are we going to get an appeal? We have folks that are already sharing false information, already sharing fake news that an appeal has been filed. That is not true. The SEC has not filed an appeal yet, but in the Do Kwon Terra Labs case, they hinted that they may appeal the Ripple ruling. Now, John Deaton says an appeal is not even close to a setback. First, it will be 2 years from now before a decision is issued by the Second Circuit. If it's appealed, the Torres decision is the law until then, at least in the Second Circuit. Secondly, even if the Second Circuit said Torres was wrong regarding her application of the third Howey factor, which I predict they won't, that doesn't mean the SEC wins on programmatic sales on exchanges. All that happens is that Torres then applies the other two factors and could likely still rule the exact same way. Concluding, the SEC didn't satisfy the common enterprise factor, which is a more difficult factor to meet, in my opinion, than the third factor. Excuse me. Don't let anyone underestimate how significant this win is for XRP and XRP holders and Ripple, and I would also add for banks and institutions who are considering making a move into that digital asset XRP as well. News articles like this getting shared. Ripple applies for crypto license in the UK. So rather quickly after we get the clarity in the United States, we continue to press forward and double down in these other regions that are further along with their cryptocurrency legislation. And that would be Ripple applying in the United Kingdom. Okay, shared by Cointelegraph. Now we move on over to the charts because everybody wants to ask about charts, price movement. When am I going to get rich off XRP? Let's answer that question. And let me put out the warning, let me put out the caveat that you might get rich, you might get some gains off our XRP for a brief moment in time before we get a significant sell-off or a pullback. So this is why it's so important that we talk about this. It's not because I'm trying to create more hype and more FOMO or any nonsense like that. I want our community to be prepared. So let's go back and look at what has happened in the past. Now that doesn't, confirm future performance, but let's go see what happened. Darren Moore, Fame21 Moore on Twitter, says before XRP went from a fraction of a penny to $3.30, it had a 53% decline. Then days later, it ran and didn't stop. Let's take a look at this chart right here. You guys can see that we had a 53% pullback to less than a penny, all the way up above 20 cents. And this was back... up to $3.30, I should say. And this was all after a 53% pullback. Now, you can see on the XRP chart, right, that we went all the way up to about $1, right? So this is why we've been talking about how we could get a pullback to the 50 cent, 60 cent region with ease. Could happen in the blink of an eye, right? But that does not invalidate where XRP is going over the next year or so. I think that we have now entered a new reality. When you look at this past performance, it's pretty incredible. 53% dump before we go from half a penny to $3.30, which was tens of thousands of a percent increase. But then we go look at and we compare what happened to Bitcoin and Ethereum this most recent bull run of 2021. So I like this tweet here from Crypto Insight UK, our good friend Will. based out of the UK, says on December 4th, 2020, the NASDAQ broke its all-time high. 12 days later, Bitcoin broke its all-time high and pushed a further 248% to set its new all-time high. So we have been following the stock market rather closely with cryptos. Ethereum lagged Bitcoin, breaking its all-time high around 2 months later. ETH went on to set a high 238% higher than its previous all-time high. XRP never went on to set a new all-time high. And so this for me, folks, is you've probably heard me say this in the past, is that all of the coins, the old coins like Bitcoin, ETH, and others, Litecoin, ones that had been around during the 2017 bull run, in 2021's bull run, they did about a 3 to 5x, right? 248% for Bitcoin. And then we have a 238% for Ethereum. So about a 2.5x their previous all-time high. XRP never went on to set a new all-time high. It peaked out at about $2. Now, on December 19th, 3 days after Bitcoin's breakout to all-time high, the SEC signaled out XRP and hit it with a lawsuit holding it alone from participating in the 2021 bull run. Convenient timing for a lawsuit, I must say, but we won't get into that. And you guys know that whole deal. You know, the free pass from Hinman, Bitcoin and Ethereum are good to go. Sure enough, they start to break out 3 days before that lawsuit gets dropped on XRP and Ripple. Convenient timing, to say the least. Now, gotta love what Will says here. Using the maths above, and I love my UK folks, how they say maths with an S, plural. Using the maths above, if XRP had mimicked Ethereum's move, XRP would have topped out at $11.90 in 2021. Now the tables have turned. Now XRP is the only asset with regulatory clarity. It is free to move. The NASDAQ is 8% away from its all-time high. If the Fed decides to pause again in this week's FOMC meeting, 25th to the 26th of July, this could be the catalyst to send the NASDAQ above its all-time high. What happens in this run when XRP is free? Will XRP catch up the previous run? Will it outperform, or will it not reclaim its highs? Now, this is the trillion-dollar question, right? And I firmly believe that we're about to see XRP go, even if we move sideways, even if we consolidate, even if the SEC does appeal and we get a slight pullback, another dip down to 50 cents. I think that this thing's been so suppressed, and there's so many people that are going to buy if we do get that pullback. It will be short-lived, but I think that XRP is definitely on its way to approaching double digits with ease. And now my timeline on that is over the next year or so. I'm still patient, guys. Over the next year, I know some charts show August. Some say $40 by September. The move is coming within the next year for sure. By many metrics, it looks like we've already started to move. And even if we do get a pullback, a 53% pullback like we did from half a penny before we took off to $3.30. And when you look at the XRP price chart, actually, basically it went from about 20 something cents to $3.80 during that run in about a course of a month. So in a 1 month time frame, it went from about 20 cents to $3.80, depending on which exchange, which chart you look at. Now, to that point, you're at about a half a penny, upwards of $3.30. After a 53% pullback, XRP went and it didn't stop. And I think that something similar is coming for us in the XRP community. And I'm not saying that because I hope that, because I wish that, because times are tough, because, I'm broke and I just want my XRP to go to the moon. No, I'm looking at what has happened in the past and how do we compare that to the new reality that we've entered with the only digital asset with true clarity. Look at what Bitcoin and Ethereum did with a, albeit a false sense of security. No pun intended, false sense of security. XRP missed out on the last bull run while Bitcoin and Ethereum went to 2.5x their previous all-time high. So one would expect that XRP could easily 2 to 5x that previous all-time high of about $3.80. And so that could easily take us to double digits, like I say. Now, I, don't know enough of the TA. I'm not enough of a wizard to tell you if it's this month, next month, or even if it's going to occur this year. All I can confirm is that all of the TAs what's the word I'm thinking of? It all matches up, no matter who you look at. The breakout is here. We are ready to move, and it's the debate of how high are we about to go. But I think, like I said, double digits for me is done with ease, and so for me, I have price targets in and around that area where I start to take it, maybe taking a slice off the table, but a very small sliver at that. And I'm not here to give you financial advice or tell you what to do. But in tonight's Twitter space, we're going to be talking about what's next for XRP, and I want to hear from the community. Come on into the Twitter space tonight. It's going to be at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I'll call you guys on up, and you guys can let me know what you see. You guys can show me your chart. You can tell me what your vibe that you're catching is right now, because I get why people feel like this is off, why it feels funny. I've been getting a lot of DMs, a lot of folks that are getting worried. And, I just want folks to remember that we've been here in the past. We already did essentially a 100% pump just off the initial ruling up to $1. We went from about 47 cents to about $1, dang near. So let's just round up and say we did about a 90 to a 100% move within the course of a week. And that's about how long it's been. It's only been a week, guys. It's been 1 week. Like people act like we got clarity a year ago. We got clarity last week. And it's not a straight way. It's not a straight path to the top. Okay. And we warned about how violent it's going to be on the way. So you better strap in. Now, we're going to be talking about what's next for XRP tonight. Twitter Spaces, make sure you guys pull up. But I also did want to slip in what's next for gold and what's next for silver. You guys know how important these are in our investment portfolio as well. North Star Charts shares this. Viewed on the quarterly chart, gold needs a close at the end of September of 1990 to confirm an impending move to between 2,500 and 3,000. Now, this is the nice thing about gold, is that you got a lot more data. You got a lot more of a chart to throw in there. But on the quarterly chart here, he says we have to hold 1990 to confirm that move to 2,500 to $3,000 per ounce. When it comes to silver, this is very interesting setup. By law, the U.S. Mint shall meet public demand for American Silver Eagle 1-ounce coins. However, since silver squeeze, the Mint has severely restricted production and is now 270 million ounces behind demand. Significant? That's the entirety of all COMEX vaults, which we've been seeing those COMEX vaults get absolutely drained. And then we also noted how the U.S. Mint signed a $10 billion options contract to lock in their price for silver for the next till 2040, I believe, is when that contract ran. It was for $10 billion worth of silver. And so they're trying to secure this. They're trying to lock this in. And remember, last year, we had a 230 million ounce deficit. What we have right now, just at the vault here, the U.S. Mint, I should say, not the vault, the U.S. Mint, is a 270 million ounce deficit behind demand. So very interesting setup to watch for gold, for silver, XRP starting its breakout as well. An exciting time to finally see our suppressed assets go. I will see you guys in the Twitter space tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're looking to get tapped in with our Discord community, just head to my website, zachrector.com. You can find it all there. And everything else, your precious metals, exchanges, get in touch with us. It's all at the website, zachrector.com. On the way out, I just asked one last favor. Please smash that thumbs up for me. We'll see you. God bless.